You awaken in a dim room, the only light, a flickering shadow that dances on ancient walls. Every breath you take resonates with a hidden energy, and as you slowly come to consciousness, you realize that every heartbeat, every fleeting thought has been carefully orchestrated by forces lurking in the recesses of your mind. In that suspended moment between sleep and wakefulness, you sense a paradox, a delicate interplay between the raw spontaneity of emotion and the cold, calculated hand that seems to mold it. Is it possible that the joy you feel in a sunlit morning, or the despair that grips you during a stormy night, isn't entirely your own? What if, instead, these feelings are the remnants of an art, a dark art, meticulously refined over centuries? As you stand at the threshold of awareness, questions begin to press against your consciousness. How deeply have you been programmed to feel? Can the surge of passion or the sting of loss ever be truly authentic if shaped by unseen architects? In a world where every emotion might be a piece of an elaborate puzzle, you are forced to confront a disquieting truth. Your inner life might be less of a personal narrative and more of a controlled performance. What if every tear you shed and every smile you offer is but a carefully rehearsed act, a ritual in an ancient play of human existence? This contradiction challenges everything you believe about your freedom and authenticity. The emotions that seem to define you are both a source of unparalleled strength and a potential chain binding you to invisible masters. In the labyrinth of your mind, the art of emotional control casts a long, unsettling shadow, one that beckons you to question whether your responses are truly your own. As the weight of this inquiry settles upon you, you cannot help but wonder who or what is truly in command of your feelings. And if the answer is as unsettling as it appears, what does that say about the very nature of your identity? The stage is now set for a deeper exploration, a journey into the dark art that shapes every pulse of your emotional life. Prepare to unravel the hidden threads that bind you as the next chapter reveals the origins of this ancient and potent craft. Beneath the veneer of everyday life lies a subtle, pervasive force that has sculpted human experience since time immemorial. This force, the dark art of emotional control, is not the product of a single moment or individual. It is a culmination of psychological programming, philosophical doctrines, and cultural conditioning that have intertwined to form the bedrock of our emotional existence. You may wonder, why do you react in ways that often feel predetermined? The answer, as unsettling as it is profound, stretches back to the roots of our collective psyche. Consider the insights of Carl Jung, who posited that the human mind is a vast repository of archetypes, primordial symbols, and motifs that dictate behavior long before conscious thought takes hold. These archetypes, ingrained in our unconscious, serve as both guides and jailers, silently scripting our emotional responses. Meanwhile, Friedrich Nietzsche's critique of herd mentality reveals how societal forces have long exploited our vulnerabilities, molding us into predictable beings who follow the collective rhythm rather than forging our own unique paths. Delving deeper, Arthur Schopenhauer argued that life is an endless series of desires and disappointments, a relentless cycle where our will is enslaved by external forces, including the very emotions we assume to be our own. In this context, emotional control is less about mastery and more about survival, an adaptive mechanism honed through centuries of struggle. Aldous Huxley, with his penetrating gaze into the human condition, warned of the dangers of societal conformity, how the mass media, education, and even language itself can subtly manipulate the way we feel, steering us toward a predetermined emotional state. Jean-Paul Sartre and Viktor Frankl add further layers to this discourse. Sartre's existentialism confronts the notion of freedom, challenging you to recognize that every choice, Even the choice to feel a certain way is influenced by a labyrinth of past experiences, cultural expectations, and unseen manipulations. Frankl, on the other hand, reminds us that even in the direst circumstances, the human spirit can find meaning. Yet this search for meaning is continually undermined by forces that seek to control and suppress genuine emotional expression. The hidden problem is that from the moment you take your first breath, you are ensnared in a web of influences, some benign, others insidious. Every comforting word, every public display of emotion is part of a grand design that aims to temper your individuality. Society, with its intricate tapestry of norms and rituals, subtly coerces you into a narrow emotional spectrum. And as you navigate life, these forces consolidate, creating a conflict between the authentic self that yearns for liberation and the conditioned self that adheres to prescribed roles. In this interplay of internal and external influences, the dark art of emotional control emerges as both a shield and a shackle. It promises stability and predictability, yet at the cost of true emotional freedom. The deeper you probe, the more you realize that your feelings are not spontaneous expressions of your soul, but carefully curated responses designed to maintain order in a chaotic world. This revelation is as liberating as it is terrifying. If every tear and every smile is a product of conditioning, then where does true agency reside? The question hangs in the air, heavy with the implications of a life lived under the silent dominion of an ancient, unyielding art. As you venture further into the murky depths of emotional control, you begin to notice its subtle yet profound impact on both personal and societal realms. The unseen consequences of this ancient craft manifest in ways that are as pervasive as they are elusive, shaping not only your inner landscape, but also the collective human experience. On a personal level, the control of emotion is a double-edged sword. It offers a semblance of order, a comforting predictability in a chaotic world. Yet this same order comes at the expense of authenticity. Every regulated emotion, every socially acceptable reaction chips away at the raw, unfiltered essence of who you are. You might find yourself smiling when you're hurting, laughing when your heart is breaking, all in accordance with an unwritten script handed down by generations. This dissonance between your inner truth and the external facade creates a persistent inner conflict, a haunting reminder that your emotional landscape is not entirely your own. Neurological studies have unveiled that the brain, ever malleable, adapts to these externally imposed patterns. Cognitive biases, once subtle, become ingrained pathways in the neural circuitry, reinforcing the conditioned responses. The reward circuits light up in response to behaviors that align with societal expectations, even if those behaviors contradict your deeper instincts. This process, as seamless as it is dangerous, gradually erodes your capacity for self-reflection. The emotions you once experienced as wild, unpredictable, and deeply personal are now tempered by a relentless internal censor. On a broader scale, cultural conditioning works as a powerful tool of social control. From childhood, you are taught to conform, to express, suppress, or exaggerate emotions in ways that suit the prevailing order. The media, educational systems, and even art conspire to create a shared emotional vocabulary, one that stifles individuality while promoting collective identity. In a world where every feeling is meticulously categorized, the rich tapestry of human experience is reduced to a monotonous array of predictable responses. Consider the cognitive biases that come into play. Confirmation bias, the tendency to favor information that reinforces pre-existing beliefs. The availability heuristic, where recent or vivid events disproportionately shape your emotional state. And the halo effect, which distorts your perception based on a single positive trait. These biases do not arise in a vacuum. They are the byproducts of an environment steeped in emotional regulation, you find yourself trapped in a loop where every emotion is a familiar echo of what has come before, leaving little room for true spontaneity or introspection. Moreover, the societal consequences are equally alarming. When large groups of people conform to these patterns, a collective apathy can take root, a disconnection from the raw, unfiltered spectrum of human emotion that once defined the vibrancy of life. This conformity fosters environments where dissent is muted, creativity is stifled, and the potential for genuine change is diminished. You might notice that in moments of crisis, the predetermined emotional responses often fail to capture the full complexity of the situation, leaving society ill-equipped to handle true upheaval. Yet amid this landscape of controlled emotion, there lies a latent urgency, a call to break free from the unseen chains that bind you. The consequences of remaining passive are too profound to ignore. A life lived in a muted, controlled state, where every emotion is but a shadow of its true self. The trap is set, the maze is built, and the stakes are nothing less than the very essence of your identity. How long will you allow yourself to be a puppet, dancing to the silent tune of conditioned responses, when the opportunity to reclaim the full spectrum of your emotional being beckons from just beyond the horizon? In the quiet rebellion of your mind, a spark of realization begins to kindle, a fierce determination to reclaim what is rightfully yours. The path to breaking free from the dark art of emotional control is not paved with gradual adjustments or minor tweaks. It demands a radical shift in perspective, one that challenges every assumption you've ever held about yourself. Imagine waking up to the possibility that you can, at last, become the master of your own emotional destiny, a destiny defined not by societal dictates, but by your authentic, unbridled spirit. To break free, you must first confront the conditioning that has held you captive. This means embarking on a journey of introspection, peeling back the layers of habit and expectation that have accumulated over a lifetime. Begin by questioning every emotional response. Is the laughter that escapes your lips a true expression of joy, or a rehearsed reaction dictated by convention? Is the sorrow that wells up in moments of silence a reflection of genuine grief, or merely an echo of a script written by others? These questions are not meant to undermine your experiences, but to reveal the subtle manipulations that have infiltrated your inner life. History offers powerful examples of those who have defied the status quo. Consider the revolutionary thinkers who challenged the established order by daring to feel deeply and differently. The Stoics, for instance, embrace the idea that while you cannot control external events, you can control your response to them. Yet, they did not advocate for a suppression of emotion, but rather a transformation, a deliberate rechanneling of raw feeling into a measured, purposeful force. Similarly, Eastern philosophies have long championed the cultivation of mindfulness, encouraging you to observe your emotions as they arise, to understand them, and ultimately, to free yourself from their unconscious pull. A key to this rebellion lies in embracing vulnerability as a source of strength. It is only when you dare to confront your true feelings, without the filters imposed by cultural conditioning, that you can begin to experience a profound liberation. Engage in practices that promote honest self-reflection, journaling your innermost thoughts, meditating on the transient nature of your emotional states, or even engaging in candid conversations with those who mirror your struggles. These acts of rebellion are not merely therapeutic. They are radical affirmations of your individuality. Moreover, seek out counterintuitive solutions that challenge conventional wisdom. Instead of trying to suppress emotions deemed inappropriate by society, allow yourself to fully experience them in all their complexity. Learn to ride the wave of anger, sorrow, and ecstasy without letting them dictate your every decision. Embrace the idea that the human experience is richer and more textured when every emotion is acknowledged. when you are not a passive recipient of external conditioning, but an active, deliberate creator of your inner world. Consider the transformative power of redefining your emotional language. Replace terms like control or suppression with words like transmutation or empowerment. This subtle shift in vocabulary mirrors a deeper internal revolution, one where you begin to see every emotional response as an opportunity for growth rather than a liability. The rebellion is a call to action, a call to reclaim the untamed, vibrant core of your being and to rewrite the narrative that has kept you confined within the narrow corridors of conditioned response. This is your moment of awakening, a time to break the chains that have long held your emotions hostage. The journey is arduous, fraught with setbacks and moments of doubt, but it is also a pilgrimage toward the rediscovery of your authentic self. As you stand at the precipice of this transformation, you are no longer a passive subject in the grand experiment of emotional control. You are the renegade, the visionary who dares to forge a new path where every emotion is a testament to your unyielding individuality. In the silent aftermath of rebellion, when the echoes of conformity have faded into a distant memory, you arrive at a revelation so profound that it reshapes the very core of your existence. Picture a vast, starlit sky, each star a fragment of every emotion you have ever felt. Here, you stand at the intersection of destiny and choice, where the final truth emerges like a luminous beacon cutting through the darkness. Your emotions are not the chains that bind you, but the very tools of your liberation. This ultimate truth is both a liberation and a responsibility. It whispers that the dark art of emotional control was never meant to enslave you. Rather, it was an ancient mirror reflecting the human condition, a reminder that every emotion, no matter how raw or tumultuous, holds within it the seed of transformation. As you gaze into the mirror of your soul, you come to understand that the intricate tapestry of feelings is not a predetermined pattern to be followed, but a living, breathing canvas waiting to be painted with the vibrant hues of your authentic experience. In this paradigm shift, you recognize that true mastery lies not in the suppression of emotion, but in the courageous embrace of its full spectrum. The rage that once threatened to consume you becomes a catalyst for change. The despair that once paralyzed you transforms into a profound empathy for the human struggle. Each tear shed in moments of vulnerability becomes a droplet of clarity, each burst of laughter a defiant proclamation of freedom. The final, most powerful realization is that you hold within yourself the power to redefine your emotional existence, to transmute pain into wisdom, fear into fortitude, and sorrow into the fuel for a more enlightened life. This truth is revolutionary because it dismantles the very foundations of a system built on control and repression. It challenges the notion that you must adhere to a narrow script of acceptable emotions and instead invites you to craft your own narrative. You are no longer a passive actor, following the prescribed lines of a predetermined play. You are the author of a new epic, one where every emotion is a verse in the poem of your life. As you stand on the threshold of this new understanding, allow yourself to be moved by the beauty of your complexity. Embrace the interplay of light and shadow, joy and grief, knowing that in the grand symphony of existence, every note matters. The dark art of emotional control, once a force that sought to diminish you, now becomes a powerful reminder of your capacity for transformation. It teaches you that vulnerability is not a weakness to be feared, but a potent source of strength and authenticity. In this final moment of revelation, you are called to action, a call to live fully, to feel deeply, and to reject the confines of a predetermined emotional destiny. With every beat of your heart, you step into a future where you are both the master and the artist of your own emotional reality. The journey has been long and fraught with hidden perils, yet it has led you to a profound liberation. the recognition that your emotions are your own, unbound by the constraints of external control. Now, as the screen fades to black and the echoes of your inner revolution resonate in the silence, you are left with one final haunting question. Will you continue to live as a mere spectator to your own feelings, or will you rise, transformed and empowered, to create a life where every emotion is a deliberate, vibrant stroke on the canvas of your destiny? The choice is yours, and the time to embrace your true self is now.